Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the ShopNotes Podcast. It's episode number 142 today, and we're feeling the love from our viewers from the TV show on today's episode. We'll also be talking about some new stuff coming in and workshop injuries, frankly, with an update on Logan's workshop. I'm your host, Phil Huber, joined by John and Logan today. We're going to try and keep John on the air as we test the Wi-Fi here in our studios. I want to give a couple of comments from last week's episode where we were talking about buying tools and strategies there. It generated quite a bit of interest. So one of them was from Christopher, who writes, John's story about his child not getting the reference to the Dukes of Hazzard reminds me of when a young lady that worked in my office asked who John Wayne was. I immediately felt older than dirt. Fun fact, John Wayne was born just a little south of the Woodsmith offices in Winterset, Iowa. He's got his childhood home is a museum, and you can tour it. So next time you're in town, just keep that in mind.
Is it a coincidence that that's where Chris Fitch lives? Who knows?
Who knows?
Has anyone ever seen John Wayne and Chris Fitch together?
No.
Right. Also true. So another writer, CTTOH09, writes, I have a shop with old and refurbished like new machines from 1910 to 1940. I have two 1940-ish Crescent P18 planers. One is refurbished and up and running. The other is in pieces in process. When he's done, he's going to be selling if anyone is interested. Also got a couple of email comments. Lance writes, I buy used most of the time. Some tools, like you guys say, you can only buy new, like drills and such. I have some used routers and a used bandsaw. I do have a new Craftsman table saw that I bought new many years ago. I'm in the market for a small lathe, but Logan, I don't think I could afford yours. Maybe not. The only way you'll find out is to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you have
Greg
to ask,
writes,
you can't afford it.
Right. Yeah. Greg writes, you asked, so he's all over the place on tool purchases. Started new, but cheap. Used circular saw every couple of months, that kind of thing. Once he retired, he got into restoring, gifting, and using old hand tools through the Midwest Tool Collectors Association, MWTCA. Settled into using them when time wasn't an issue. Bought an Alaskan mill to break down cherry and oak trees. Time versus money for wood. Almost killed my Husqvarna 350, so I bought a new steel 362C. What? I need a solid bar, you say? Okay, make that a 26-inch. Need a bigger mill now for those bigger logs. Bought a new Grizzly bandsaw for resawing. Convinced now there is no such thing as bandsaw drift, just bandsaw user drift. Oh.
Yep.
Working out of using a DeWalt worksite table saw, bought new many years ago, but can't reconcile yet to a hybrid cabinet saw because of the garage space. Used seems risky to me, and I'm not seeing the money savings over new. I love the old shop tools I've bought, but there's a lot of time investment in getting them in good, usable shape. He's got a Sears Roebuck planer, new rollers, belts, knives, fabricated stand, motor mounting, miring, switches, blah, blah, blah. Also a 40s, 50s-ish Buffalo 15-inch drill press. Did a bunch of stuff on there with an initial cost of $100. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, as soon as he decides he needs a bigger mill, he will also need a bigger chainsaw. The 360 will do it until you get a little bit bigger.
All right, we had a fun surprise today. I got a message from our warehouse person that I had a package waiting for me in the warehouse. So I went to pick it up, and it was from a viewer of the show, John Boker. going to call it, from Scottsdale, Arizona. He said, enclosed, please find some old family tools. I grew up on a central Illinois farm in the 50s and 60s, and I cannot remember my father or I ever using these tools as we had newer versions. So I'm guessing these had not been used since the 1940s at the latest. I very much enjoy your show, especially the how-to, and not using thousands of dollars worth of equipment. I also remember you enjoy using manual equipment from time to time, therefore I thought you could find a good home for these. I don't have an issue if you don't have any interest in these, but would ask that you would find a good home for them. I also have an old blowtorch, picture below. Should you have use or home for it, let me know. I'd be happy to ship it along. Have a great 2023, and I look forward to more episodes. So here's what he sent along. I'll put a photo of it on the show notes page for those of you who are watching on the radio here. It started off out of the box was a marking gauge. This one's seen some stuff because it's got wires holding the fence together on the beam. Looks like it's a mortise gauge too because there's 2 pins in one side. Also, there's a wear strip. Looks like maybe a boxwood wear strip on the bottom edge where it would get locked into place. Oh, yeah, it is because it's a section of an old ruler. I can just barely make out the markings here in the light. So there's that one. I'm going to start with the regular tools, and then there's a couple of what's these that I'll invite anybody to comment on. A large draw knife, pretty big size, kind of a nice curve to the blade. Looks like probably, don't have my ruler here. It's a good 12-inch long blade on that. So that one's in pretty decent shape.
Is there a maker on it?
There is, but I can't.
Doesn't say D.R. Barton, does it?
No. Warden?
Okay.
Maybe?
I only ask because I've become a huge fan of D.R. Barton tools over the last couple of years. Their steel seems fantastic.
Okay. Then a small square, probably about 4 or 5 inches long, rosewood body, steel blade, wear strip on the stock. Have a skew rabbet plane, which seems to be in pretty decent shape.
Okay.
That one would be kind of fun to kind of fix up and see how it would do. So every wedge and blade seem to be original and a match for it. There's also a 4-plane, wood-bodied 4-plane.
Tote appears to be in good condition.
Tote is in good condition and tight. Wedge is tight. Blade needs some help. It's got some chips on it, but again, I think this one could be salvaged. A couple of stamps on the end. So yeah.
Cool.
And then the 3 tools that need a little bit more help. We have this hammer that has a long snout on the back edge. Mm-hmm. The head of it is pretty well mushroomed and is cracking. So it got used for more than what its steel was ready for. So also got this guy. Appears to be just a mandolin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a groove. Has grooves in it for some kind of a runner. So I don't know if it was like a cabbage slicer for kraut, maybe. Seems kind of small for that. Again, we're looking at, I don't know, my hand width wide for the slot on it. And then the final item is this bad boy.
Looks like a pickle fork.
Maybe a pickle fork. It's got it's aluminium.
Oh.
Yeah, looks like there's maybe a name on the bottom side that's kind of tough to read. But so anyway, like I said, I'll put a photo of it on the show notes page. So if you have any questions, comments, or smart remarks about any of those, that would be cool. We'll maybe do something on fixing up wood hand planes with the skew rabbit and then the 4-plane, kind of understanding what's possible with those. So thanks to John for sending those to us.
I always love getting reader boxes because you never know. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yes,
could be good,
yeah.
could be
well,
bad.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's like a couple years ago when we got the original version of the Woodsmith dovetail jig.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's funny. Yeah. So we get boxes of tools very often, or regularly, I guess. I received a fishing lure from a reader once, which was pretty cool, like a handmade fishing lure.
Right.
Which was pretty cool. Yeah, just fun stuff. Love reader mail. Occasionally we get like small little projects. Had a gentleman send us in. What was that? It was a reader tip, John. The guy sent us in like the big hand drawing. Like the guy was like
the
hand
toggle
drafter,
clamps,
and he sent us in these big drafted drawings. Was it like a toggle clamp?
Yeah. Didn't somebody send in 3D printed versions of the toggle clamps? Some plastic versions.
Yeah.
And drawings and stuff one time.
So, yeah, we get interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this week we've returned to the video studio for some filming, and I'm working on a video edition project that will probably appear on our YouTube channel at some point in the future, but we'll go to video edition first. It's going to be a graduation gift for one of my kids. It's a desk designed by Mario Rodriguez and was featured in American Woodworker. And we have all the plans from American Woodworker when we purchased Popular Woodworking out of bankruptcy X years ago. I don't even remember how long ago that was now.
Who rescued who,
2019?
really, though?
Right? Just
yeah,
before?
Yeah, something like that. That'd be about right.
Maybe? I don't know. Okay. So, anyway, it's a really cool project. I loved it as soon as I saw it appear in that magazine and have been looking for an opportunity to make it. And this came up, and it's perfect. So there we go. I've decided to make mine out of white pine. Mario made his out of cherry and cherry plywood, but I'm going 100% vegan on this one.
Yep.
And working on it that way. So
awesome. And what a joy the white pine is.
Oh my gosh, it is super fun to work with. Like it's stuff that you milled and you wisely sawed it 2 inches thick for each plank. They're probably 10 footers, 10, 12.
Yeah, probably 10 footers, yeah.
Yeah. In great shape. So I'm breaking down the boards with a handsaw, which is super fun. Because, well, that and the other part is, so I have all the boards stored in the main shop, and then I bring them here into the video studio to work on them. And they're white pine, so I can carry a board by myself, and it looks kind of funny because the boards are weathered on the outside. They've been air dried. So you don't really know what it is, but I can be Superman carrying this large plank by myself. It's like that. It's that scene in, what is it? Avengers: Age of Ultron, where Captain America is splitting firewood with Iron Man, and he just kind of breaks it on his.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yep.
But I've been able to resaw, pretty wide pieces and get some nice looking material out of it. So, but the only thing is the gunk it kind of leaves behind on the bandsaw rollers.
I think it's funny because there's a couple of trees that we saw around here that are sappy. Okay, pine is obviously one. Cedar's not too bad. There's a lot of oils in cedar. It's not really a resin like pine has, but there's a lot of oils in it. That's where you get the smell from. The one that's actually stickier when you're sawing it is hickory. Like shagbark hickory is super sticky. It has a lot of sap in it, and it's I don't know if it's because it's so hard that it just cakes on the blade. I don't notice that with pine, but man, looking at that bandsaw blade and the guides after you were done cutting some of it, it's like somebody painted on Type Bond 2 and let it dry.
Yes,
it just is.
I would agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I have that, and then I have. You guys brought it up yesterday. Apparently there's something wrong with me because I got done with all my Christmas presents last year and started off this year, and I have, I think, 4 projects going right now.
Yep.
With a few more percolating in the back of my head that I really want to start, but I feel like I should finish or complete something first before I go any farther. So got a birthday gift for one of my other kids, another graduation gift, and then maybe it's a birthday gift. I don't know. Who knows?
Depends on when it gets done.
I just can't stop. Cannot stop.
Yeah. Don't want to stop.
Right. Yeah. I think each one of the projects has its interesting features that make me want to make it. So, like the other graduation gift is a Harry Potter style trunk. So,
yep,
we've done steamer trunks in the magazine several times, and they're usually kind of the old school crossing the Atlantic frame and panel look to them. And this one is more of if you've seen the Harry Potter movies, kind of the travel trunk from like the railroad age. So they look a lot lighter in their construction. So
yeah, that's actually been one that's been on my list for Popwood for a while. Is a steamer, like a travel trunk, like a travel type trunk. And actually, when we cleaned out my grandpa's house a couple of years ago, I took his army trunk that has all of his Korean War and Vietnam War military apparel in it. For that reason, was just because I want to rebuild a trunk to put all that stuff into, which I thought would be kind of fun. So, be interested to see how you tackle that, because you're right, they should be lightweight. So I'm thinking like basswood would be a great wood for it, or maybe like panels of basswood, frames of oak, something like that.
Yeah. See, I was looking at, because one of the defining features of it is that they're about like 36 inches long, 20 inches deep, 12 inches-ish tall is kind of the size. Yep. So kind of an unusual size. But the long corners are very radiused. So it's, figuring out how to get those radiused corners, keeping it lightweight. But then it also has to be sturdy enough, that I want it to be a functional piece, because I don't want it out of cardboard kind of a thing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have some ideas. I think I'm going to do the long corners out of... I'll have plenty of that white pine left over. So I'll do basically like a 2x2 of white pine. And then either with rabbets or grooves have plywood panels that connect the corners, and then using a big round over bit round the outside edges. And then the inside edges I'll probably knock out with like a big rabbet on the inside at the table saw, and then I'll use some round planes to give it a round inner profile.
Yeah.
And then I'll just make like oak strapping kind of pieced together to wrap around the outsides.
Like John's one-off messages to us, the ROS, radius of unusual size.
Yes, it is, because I've been looking around for an appropriate router bit here, and the biggest one that I found up until yesterday was like 3/4 inch radius, which isn't bad. But then, as a prop that we used in John's router bit cabinet, I found this Mamma Jamma here. So that one is a 1-inch radius, which, I mean, doesn't sound that much bigger than 3/4 inch, but the difference in bit size is pretty extreme. So
I think if you go bigger, you start getting to shaper territory.
Right. Yeah. And at that point, I would just, try and round it by hand then, knock off big chamfers and then cut it. But I think the 1-inch radius round over bit will give me a sweep that'll work for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you were talking just before we started recording, Logan, about framing out the inside of your shop.
Yeah. I was whining. Let's be fair. Let's call it what it was. I was whining because, it's Wednesday right now when we're recording this. Sunday, it was the last day I would have framed anything out in the shop. So 2 days post-framing, and my gosh, my golfer's elbow is acting up so bad. Like, this is why I don't do framing for a living. I love it. It's a different level of woodworking. You just cut it within 1/4 of an inch and it will smash in there. Whether you hold it with nails or you have to beat it into place, it'll hold, right? As long as everything's square, it doesn't really matter. Which I love that mentality for framing. But I'm using an air nailer. I'm using a pneumatic air framing nailer, to nail everything together. I'm not beating nails in, but just 3 minutes after I build a section of wall and stand it up and climb up on a ladder to pound the header back in to place, my elbows are just killing me. I'm glad that framing is almost done. I got to get office walls and bathroom walls up, and then I'm done framing.
Nice.
Because I'm guessing my entire family is sick of me whining about it. Because I'm trying to lift up my cup of coffee, and it's oh my god, this sucks. This is stupid. When did I get old? We were talking about it yesterday. When did I start sitting down to put my shoes on? Come on.
Yep, it's coming for you.
I know. So we're framing's almost all the way done. Have to then start doing some electrical work and insulation. I am videoing this entire thing, so when I have a chance to edit those videos, those will be up on the Popwood YouTube channel. So
that'll be cool.
So I did one kind of an intro talking about the building as all the lumber was delivered. Then I have some B-roll of the Amish crew that I had come in, frame it up. I have some B-roll of them working, some video of the concrete going in, and then some video of me doing some of the framing, so we'll wrap that up. And then I'm going to probably do a little bit more extensive video talking about electrical and kind of what I'm doing for electrical.
Okay.
Because I think we all agree that you can't ever have too many outlets in a shop. However, right now I have everything so fluid in that shop. Like, I don't really know. I have an idea where I want stuff to go, but I don't really know it for a fact. That I'm just gonna put a 4-gang or a 2-gang box every 8 feet. So every 8 foot there will be a pair of 110 outlets and a 220 outlet. So there will be a faceplate that has 2 110s and a 220. I think you can do that by code. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I just figure smatter those every 8 feet. There's always a outlet within reach.
Yeah.
Call it good. So, and then I did before I put in I didn't put in the concrete. Before my concrete guys came in, I buried a 2.5-inch conduit. So I have a conduit that runs from my panel to where a divider wall is going to go in the shop. That way, if I need to pull heavier electrical, I can do it easily.
Okay. That's cool.
So, yeah. So, yep. But just
Sweet.
need to finish up the framing, and I need to get my drywallers in here to put the ceiling up. That way I can blow insulation in. Once I blow insulation in, then I can actually turn radiant floor heat on and get everything warming up, because, man, you walk in there and it is an ice cube. I might have talked about this. Like, that concrete is just an ice cube. It could be 55 degrees outside, and inside the building is 20 degrees because of that ice cold concrete.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's kind of amazing how the inside, you feel like the inside should be better, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It sometimes feels worse.
Yep. So.
All right. So what I'm hearing is you're just a couple of weeks away from podcasting from your shop then.
Well, see, I wasn't smart enough to get a trencher before the ground froze, so I don't have internet out there yet. But maybe once the heat's on, then we'll figure out a way to do it. We'll make it work. I mean, my internet out there can't be any worse than John's in the office. So.
Right. Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit.
I was in podcast jail there for a while. The worst kind of podcast hell is when you can't say anything, but you can just listen and watch.
Yep. Yep.
Now I know what all the listeners have to go through every week.
Yeah.
I feel for you.
Collective, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So.
How about you, John? Anything new with you?
I'm not building a shop right now, so that's not new with me. But
yep.
I don't know. Other than that, just try to get into 2023. You know. So.
See, what's your strategy though, John? Do you like ease into 2023, or do you start off on a strong note and set the bar high?
Right. I mean, you don't want to come in too strong. I try to like ease out of the previous year, ease out of 2022, and then ease back in, ramp back up. You know, really hit my stride into January, February, and then start tapering back off when we hit spring break. Start looking at 2024. You know, go two strong months of the year, and then it's just like, all right,
well,
it's a good run.
Yeah, I mean,
Kinda
like the
all,
Doyles break
like-
up their Doyles break up their year via Disney trips, right? So like, like Q1, Q2, Q3.
Yep.
The Disney trips in between.
Hit all the quarters. Yep, exactly. Hey, I only went one time last year, so I don't even know how that place is still open. It's hurting the economy.
That's why they had to bring Bob Iger back.
Yep. It's like, how do we get the Doyles back to Disney?
Yeah.
So. But, yep.
Super funny. Mm-hmm. Whereas I took the opposite approach to John, I just went running right into 2023.
Yep.
Like, hit it like a wall.
You sure did.
I feel like you're going to burn out.
Just break through. I just cruise to spring break. And then it'll be a sprint to graduation, which you're going to have to deal with also, John.
Yep.
So,
yep, that's going to come up fast.
Yep. Then after that, just coast.
That's right.
May to the end of the year is just coasting.
Yep. It's all about survival.
All right. Before we head out, I want to talk about this week's free project download from Woodsmith Plans. I want to keep the shop theme going because I kind of feel like January is a great time to work on your shop, whether you're Logan and you're building one all on your own, or you're kind of fine-tuning some of the stuff that you have in your shop, kind of making it your own. So last week we had a stacking sawhorse plan. Let's keep with the stacking theme, but with a stacking tool totes. So I'll put a link both on the YouTube page and the show notes page where you can find stacking tool totes. And these are plywood totes that you can customize any which way. We did several of them that are designed around those plastic hardware bins. If you've ever watched our TV show, you know that we have some sort of a disease because we have probably, I don't know, close to 30 or more that I can see just right from my desk here that we store hardware and supplies in. And they're great for organizing all kinds of things and pretty flexible. So you want to check out that plan. Download it this week free from Woodsmith Plans. All right. I think that just about wraps up another episode of the Shop Notes Project. If you have any questions, comments, or smart remarks, feel free to send those in. You can email us, woodsmith@woodsmith.com, or you can leave a comment on our YouTube channel where you can watch the Shop Notes Podcast and see some of the things that we're talking about when we point them out, and as well as subscribe to our other videos that we put out weekly. New stuff constantly going on over there. Wherever you listen to your podcast, I'd love it if you could rate and review because it helps us to get the podcast in front of the ears of other woodworkers just like you. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye.